Hi there, I'm Molly.
And I'm Jamie, and this is our From the Pasture with Hired Hand podcast.
For 15 years now, we've been proudly helping breeders promote hundreds of thousands of pedigree livestock with our easy-to-use animal management-driven website software.
And let's not forget about Hired Hand Live, where over $1 million worth of livestock is sold online each year.
We're excited to bring you market trends, sales data, advice from your fellow breeders, and stories from the ranch.
Our software makes managing your website and your animals a breeze, so you can focus on what you love.
So let us handle your digital chores while you tune in to another episode of From the Pasture with Hired Hand. Welcome to this episode of From the Pasture with Hired Hand. Today we're visiting the beautiful pastures of the Webb Family Farm in the Texas Hill Country, home to a growing herd of registered Texas Longhorns. I'm your host, Molly Clubb, and I'm excited to take you on another journey into the world of Texas Longhorns and the breeders who care for them with today's guest, Ray Webb. Thanks for joining me today, Ray.
Thank you, Molly. Happy New Year to you.
You as well.
Thank you.
Why don't you go ahead and just start by telling our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Well, my wife Andrea and I both grew up in agricultural surroundings. All of my uncles on both sides of my family were farmers, and I grew up farming. Andrea's father, she grew up on the farm, and so we certainly were no stranger to farm chores, but we both had, gone into the city lifestyle, I guess you could say, with our jobs through the history. But, it was always her dream to have a farm. And this farm, the first original 40 acres of this farm came available and when we moved to the Austin area from Tulsa, Oklahoma, with her company. And she said, we're going to the farm, and we're getting a farm. And, at first I thought that would be, you're isolating me, and now I love the Longhorns so much I rarely even like to leave the farm, and so we're farm kids at heart, and glad to be back out here and having a good time and enjoying hanging out with our Longhorns.
So why Longhorns? What made you decide on them?
It's crazy, but a long time ago, when we first moved down here, I drove across from Pflugerville to Llano on Highway 29, and somebody had a beautiful herd of Longhorns right there about Liberty Hill. And there were times when I would pull over on my drive to work and would just look at the Longhorns. And, we love them so much. We have Longhorn artwork hanging in our house before we even dreamed of owning any kind of cattle. And in fact, right up there, I don't know if you can see it, right up there over our fireplace, there is a Longhorn artist that lives in the Texas Hill Country named Regan Janusa. And he actually, it's funny, he was a wide receiver for the Texas Longhorns when he was a young man. And now he lives out here, and we had all his artwork. And that was his copy he brought to our house in town before we moved to the country. And we loved it so much. It fit above our fireplace there, and it fit above our fireplace here. So we have Longhorn art all over the place. And they're just, we had an opportunity when we bought the land across from us to do Angus. And Longhorns are just so amazing. And I'm sure all cattle breeds are amazing, but Longhorns look unique. I mean, they're all different. So it's easy to pick out their traits, their personalities. And, I just can't even imagine, having other kinds of cattle. They are incredible animals.
Well, I have to ask, did you ever figure out who the breeder was at the herd in Liberty Hill that you drove by?
I never did, but I just saw when, all the information about the people that have the bevo are from that area. And I wonder, if that could have been them. Right there, it's at 29 and 183. And I know they had a tunnel that went under the Highway 29 where they could move cattle from one side of the highway to the other without taking them across the road. All that area up there now is housing developments, sadly. And I've not seen those Longhorns recently, but they were so beautiful. And somewhere back on old computers, I have some of those pictures that we stopped and took. And I laugh because people now, when cars come to a screeching halt beside it, when ours are out by the fence, and people say, I sure hope you don't mind if we stop and take pictures. And it's like, no, I used to do that myself, as a matter of fact. So
I just had to ask because our Bevo podcast has quickly become one of our most listened to. So when you mentioned the artwork from the former Texas Longhorn football player and Liberty Hill, I thought maybe there were some signs there.
Yeah. I wonder, I would be interested to know if somebody is listening and they know who had that herd in that area, and that's been 10, 15 years ago. I would sure like to know. I would like to compliment them. They had a beautiful herd and beautiful land.
Talk to me a little bit more about your herd. Kind of tell me your process, maybe your learning curve, kind of your journey from that initial herd to where you are today.
Well, we started, as I mentioned, we had 40 acres here, and it had the wildlife exemption on it, which I love. I mean, I love the wildlife, and where we are blessed to have so many incredible wildlife experiences. But we were offered the 40 acres beside us, and the gentleman there was running Angus, had a small Angus herd, and we really thought about doing Angus and buying his herd. And then he wanted such an outrageous price for him. His own vet told me, don't buy those Angus. They're not worth that. And so we didn't. And he pulled them off. I think he took them to the sale barn or something. But I looked on Craigslist. We were looking in the January because we wanted to get the ag exemption on that property that we bought, to keep it on there. And I saw an old gentleman in Stonewall, which is between here and Fredericksburg, had a couple of Longhorn steers, and he needed to get rid of. And I went and got those, and we loved them. They just were beautiful, beautiful animals. And I was looking at them, and I thought, you know what, 40 acres and just having 2 steers, that's just not enough. So the next day I answered another Craigslist ad, and that happened to be Aiton and Sandy Barham, who are well-known breeders. And that's where my journey really started, was when I met them. And I actually, I went specifically for another steer, and he had a bull, and he said, look, they're best friends. You Longhorns, you can't just have one or a couple, and these are buddies, and they offered to steer that little bull. And they were both 6 months, and I said, no, let's try. Let's keep it in a bull. And he turned out to be a great starter bull for us. He gave us 15 calves, 10 were heifers, and 4 of those will never leave our ranch. They are just phenomenal. And that bull, when I did get another opportunity for a Bob Loomis bred bull, that bull is still as a herd sire at another Longhorn ranch in North Burnett County, and we love him very much. We love that bull. I'm always anxious to see how our animals do, when they leave here, and I want the best for all of them. So we started. So we really started with 4 Longhorns, and now we're right at 40. Never imagined that would be the case, but I hear that a lot when I'm talking to breeders about how, hey, we started with a steer or 2, and then all of a sudden, it just exploded because people, it's easy to love them, and they just have such amazing personalities and distinct personalities. They're not all the same. And so we have grown, and I didn't anticipate having so many calves. And, with the first bull, we had, like I said, 10 heifers. And even with us getting rid of the little bull calves, still, our population exploded. So now we're getting to the point where we will have to either be known as collectors or start selling some. But I wanted to be able to sell animals that have our brand on them, that we bred, and I want them to be quality. I just don't want somebody to think, I'll buy it because Ray's my buddy. I want somebody to buy one of my heifers are one of my bull calves because they love the animal and what the animal will bring to their program.
So at what point, or maybe what quantity or what turning point did you go from just having Longhorns for the egg exemption to traveling to sales and for charities and educating yourself, about maybe the bloodlines and what you did want and what you didn't want? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, we were blessed that second ad that I answered was to Ayton and Sandy Barham. Ayton and Sandy basically put me through a 3-year master class on Longhorns. And not just raising Longhorns, not just the animals, but in all aspects of the business. I just am grateful. I feel very blessed that my first, because we had opportunities. We had opportunities before that. People wanting us to get into Longhorns, and I look back at their programs and I think, wow, I'm sure glad I didn't jump in with them because they were, not at that level. So Ayton did. He schooled me. I mean, I started out. Like a lot of people, and this is going to be another question you're going to ask, I think, about new breeders. But, like a lot of people, I started thinking, wow, there's a Longhorn cow for sale on Craigslist. I'm going to get it, and not knowing what the breeding or, all that is. And, so I've been very fortunate. I didn't get in too deep there, but I did buy some animals that I had to start over with to follow my path that I want to take in the breeding process. But also, fortunately, that I did buy animals from Ayton and Sandy, and some of those will never leave our ranch. They are exceptionally good animals, and Ayton and Sandy are kind of in the same boat we are, going through 3 years of severe drought. Not having a massive property to, have a real big herd. So we have limits and, have to pare down and keep the best of the best. And that's where we are right now. We're having to make decisions on which are the best. Again, the Ayton and Sandy, Ayton taught me so much on that, and we'll always be grateful to them for the time they took. And some people don't like to share secrets. They are insecure. Ayton was not that way. He told me, everything I needed to know, and made me, when we went to auctions, made me go up and shake hands with people, introduce myself to people. And, right off the bat, we got to go to the Blue Ridge sale. John Marshall's no longer with us. We went to Red McCombs, which is 10 miles from our ranch. The Red McCombs ranch is 10 miles from us. And of course, he's no longer with us. And, but got to see all those and bought animals, and very, very exciting to go to those events. And we've got a big lineup this year of places we want to go. And every time we've gone, we've made new friends, met new people. It's an amazing journey that we've been on so far.
Well, you talked a lot about Ayton and Sandy, and for those who aren't familiar, they're with SE Longhorns.
Yeah.
Can you just tell us maybe the top 3 pieces of advice that they gave you that really stuck with you as a new breeder?
Well, he definitely showed me the genetics and, what I should be chasing, what I should be staying away from. He made exceptional recommendations, and I got to see in person how he worked with his chutes and pen system. And I'm thankful that I went ahead and made that purchase pre-COVID, because the prices on all that stuff have tripled. He showed me a lot of things. I mean, we called, and it was all first time stuff for me when I watched calves being born, and I would have questions. We always laughed that, I was like doing play-by-play, to Ayton, and I'm sure he got tired of it. But I remember when the first calf I ever watched be born, And I called him and I said, "It's yellow. The calf is yellow." And of course they come out with a yellow film on them. Some of them do. And I thought, wow, it's something's wrong with it. And he's like laughing. But he definitely had walked me through the genetic side of it. For example, the first Red McComb sale that I went to, he introduced me to everybody. Just walked around. He encouraged me to, shake hands with big breeders, but introduced me, walked up to Bob Loomis and said, "This is Ray Webb, and he's a new breeder," and different people like that I was fortunate to meet. John Marshall before he passed, and I'll never forget the time he took. Little things like even changing the oil in our tractors, or helping with fencing and ads for Futurity magazines. The list is endless of the stuff that they did with us that we'll always be grateful for.
Well, fast forward to today, what would you say that your philosophy is behind your breeding program and, those events that you're excited to attend, maybe some of those animals you're taking with you?
Yes. And, this year is going to be, we have taken, 2 years ago, we took animals to the Winchester Futurity. I do want to, I would sure like to have those old Texas, the Blue Ridge and the Red McCombs. I'd like to have those close again, but I would certainly like to support the auctions and futurities that are happening close to us in reasonably close driving distance. And so Texas does have some pretty good events like that. And I am taking at least 3 animals to the Winchester again this year. We will have another animal. We had a heifer last year in the Glendenning Fiesta sale, and we also have a heifer in this year's. That is an amazing event. Last year was the first one, and because Eitan had so much to do with putting that together, we got to see a lot of the inside stuff going on as it was being built. And I know that it was such an amazing event last year as the first one. This year is going to be, according to him, even better. And so that's very exciting. And of course, the Hudson sale on Memorial Day weekend, we did buy a program-changing cow there from Helm Cattle Company last year. And we may take an animal there this year, but we're definitely going. I am excited that to see the Eddie Wood Classic, I think, being taken up another level, at least another level. I think the Glendenning sale, this was really what I was going to talk about with trends, but, really raised the bar on auctions. So if that's a trend, if I can jump forward to that, I think the Glendenning sale will make other people who have events like this realize what an event can look like for Texas Longhorns, and have maybe thrown down the glove or, raise the bar, and people will make these events, the events they should be. If people come to them and, thinking, wow, that wasn't very impressive. A new breeder, somebody goes to the Glendenning sale and last year would be just wowed and think, yes, this is an industry I want to be a part of. And so the more events we have like that, I think the better to keep new breeders in and to inspire new breeders. And like me, it's like, I'm not sure I have a animal with my brand on it that is good enough. Last year, and Eitan said, no, this one is good enough. And that one did do much better and finished in the money in the futurity even. So, my goal then would be to have animals that people consider good enough. And we'll see. I think we're getting close, and we'll see at the Futurity, the Winchester Futurity, how we're doing. Last time, 2 years ago, I was a little cocky. I thought one of my animals was all that. And I took 4 animals actually, and was taught a lesson on futurities. So hopefully I've learned that lesson, and moving forward, we'll see how our animals do this time around.
Well, I want to pick apart a few things you mentioned there. Two things specifically. So the first, I think one thing that's important to note when you were talking about the Glendenning sale is it's a ranch sale, which is part of what makes it special. So you mentioned you got the opportunity to go to the Blue Ridge sale, which was at Mr. Marshall's ranch when he
Yes.
was alive. The Macomb sale was another phenomenal ranch sale
Yeah.
with a lot of history behind it. And I think that's one of the things that if folks can get the chance to attend, the ranch sales are definitely special.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Thinking back, like with the Blue Ridge sale, where they had the cowboy cook out there, with the chuck wagon, and I went into, I can't remember, it was to pay or to do something into the office, and they were making his, it's a cake. I can't remember what it was. It was so unbelievably delicious, and and people just sitting out there, under the big tent, and having the good food made in the chuck wagon right there. And I mean, it's an opportunity. I mean, they're not having that at Glendenning, but I mean, they've got the food right there, and they've got a facility that's second to none to view. I mean, even if you're not selling or buying, I recommend anybody just taking the time to go to that sale. Every seat's a good seat. It's just it's an amazing event, and we enjoyed it was last year Hudson Valentine. This year it's just going to be a Hudson sale, but we certainly enjoyed that too, and are going back. Like I mentioned, we're going back to that this year, and have a list of things we would like to accomplish. I invested in a nice big trailer. I thought, well, if we're going to be getting some of these bighorn animals, we need a trailer that's worthy of them, and so I look forward to using that this year.
And now a word from our sponsors.
Do you sometimes feel like you're the only one who doesn't have it all figured out? Rural life can be isolating, but it doesn't have to be.
Welcome to Ag's Most Okayest Farm Girls, the podcast for women who are craving connection, laughter, solidarity, camaraderie, and just overall encouragement in your everyday life and dreams.
Each week, your hosts, Annalise, that's me, and Courtney will cover topics such as farm life, mom life, making money online, side hustles, hobbies, sharing on social media, jobs off the farm, and so much more.
Us rural gals need to stick together, so saddle up for some fun, real, and unsolicited advice and stories from our everyday farm lives.
Grab a drink, we're Ag's Most Okayest Farm Girls, and we're here to help. Listen wherever you find podcasts.
Are you a new Longhorn breeder eager to educate yourself on market trends and sale prices? Stay in the loop with our text messages. Get the latest updates, events, and insider tips on all things Longhorns delivered straight to your phone.
Stay informed by texting website to 888-700-8131, then reply with Longhorns. That's website to 888-700-8131. Sign up today and take your breeding program to the next level.
Looking for top quality Longhorns and a taste of true Texas spirit? Look no further than Cantera Cattle Company. Our passion for Longhorns shines at Old Gringo Ranch, where tradition meets excellence. Visit us online at CanteraCattleCompany.com and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok for the latest updates and ranch life fun. Ready to experience it yourself? Schedule your visit by emailing canteracattle@gmail.com. Remember, God is great, Longhorns are good, and life is crazy.
Well, the second thing I picked up on earlier in your answer is you mentioned a program-changing cow. Do you want to tell me a little bit about her and how she's impacted your herd?
Yes, and I'm going to preface that by saying that new breeders, not only should they not be afraid to walk up and introduce themselves to people, but they should just be happy to hang around and listen to people, because my wife and I were at the Glendenning sale pre-party, and we were standing there listening to Jeannie Phillip talk to Mike Willinger. And they were talking about, I'm not even sure they knew we were there, but she was talking to him about a cow that they had bought early in their purchasing, and it was an expensive cow, and she knew that they weren't really thinking about spending that much money on a cow. But she said, you you've got to invest. You've got to, if you want to build your program up, you need to. And when we got to the Hudson Valentine sale, and I knew that this cow was John Helm cow, incredible Hubbell's 20 gauge daughter, and great maternal lines as well. And I knew it was a cow, and I knew it was going to go at a pretty good price. And we stalled on the bidding, and my wife said, "You got to invest. She's sitting right there, and you got to invest." And I kept bidding. And it's Helm Adela is the cow, and she is spectacular. Gave me a spectacular bull calf that I've already had offers on. The first time I posted a picture, but his genetics are amazing. But we're going to hang on to him. And, I do want all animals that have our brand. And I've got a couple of bull prospects that I think will make it. And that little bull calf will certainly make it. Whether I, sell half of him or sell all of him, I don't know. But he's pretty special. And that cow, now, the reason I got her is because she mixes completely with our bull. And we are super excited to see what that comes out of that mating.
And who is your bull out of? Our
bull is an MC Hanging Tough son and out of a Rebel HR daughter. Man, our bull has got 3 or 4 half brothers born within a week or 2 of each other. And you look at like Horn Showcase at that time period, or any futurity that any of those are in. And, we didn't actually take our bull to the Horn Showcase. We took him to a satellite measuring, then didn't take him to the actual event. And he might have won. He won 2 out of the 3 categories. His half brother won the main category, and another half brother won like 3rd or 4th. I can't remember. And then the main half brother that wasn't even there, that usually wins everything. And that's why we didn't take him to the main event, because Cool Hen Luke Checks is his half brother, just days apart in birth. And, I thought, well, if he goes, he's going to win everything because he's spectacular. But, wow, Bob Loomis just hit a home run with all his breeding with MC Hanging Tough. And we are so pleased at what that bull is doing for us. And for example, the bull calves out of our first bull, all were steered. I don't think one of them made it. And already we're selling bull calves as herd prospects out of this bull. He's doing a spectacular job, and won 2, like I said, won 2 bronze trophies there at the Horn Showcase this year. Probably would have won 3 if we'd actually taken him to the event, but next year we'll take him.
Well, I feel like you touched on this a little bit already, but what are some other trends you haven't talked about that you're currently seeing in the market or in the breed that are maybe somewhat influencing your breeding decisions?
Well, when I first started, I thought we're going to do some AIing because I can't really afford a good bull. And in fact, our fencing is not great, and something we're working on this year is to improve our fencing and pins system. Our pins and chutes are PNC, and we love them to death. Our AI guy loves them. Our vet loves them. But the AI, and I have spent a lot of money. I've got good straws and all in the tank, and so we had planned on doing that. And I'm just really, had not planned on having this good bull. So now a lot of our straws have been sitting in our tank for a long time because we want to use our good bull and see what he can produce. But, some things that I really, a trend that we're looking at is the IVFing and flushing. And I think that's a step over the AIing, and I did do the AI school at Champion Genetics, so I am qualified to do that. But we are blessed that we have a super good AI man that lives about 30 minutes from us, and some of those straws are pretty pricey, and I just don't feel like experimenting I've got the certificate, but, he knows really what he's doing. He does it all the time, every day. And, we're just blessed to have him so close. So we were worried. We did get a cow, and I knew she had been flushed or IVF. I'm just not even sure I know what the difference is, but, I've never done that before. I wasn't told that. And I will go back to the Hudson Valentine sale that John Helm specifically said that this Helmadella cow had never been flushed, had never been IVF'd, had never had anything done to her, only natural breeding. And so I see that a lot now, and I can certainly understand. You pay a lot of money for a big time cow or bull. You want to do whatever you can to, make that a profitable deal. And so I understand the IVFing and flushing. I think it should be, in just my opinion, full disclosure. If somebody's getting ready to buy a cow, they should, be told. And on top of that, I have learned the lesson that not everybody will tell you unless you ask. But if you ask, they will tell you. So I would say to a new breeder who is buying an older cow to just ask the question. It's not going to stop them from breeding, and cloning was also an issue because I'd seen that an issue recently, but I did talk to Rick at the TLBA office about cloning, and he said it's just not, it's something that happened like in the 90s that people were excited about a new thing, and it really has turned out to not be a thing. But if you clone an animal, it's going to have a designation on their registration number. If you flush or IVF, as I understand it, there is no designation. There's nothing to tell you that animal has had that done to them. And of course, with AI, there is a designation as well on the registration. But, that was an issue because we thought we had bought an old cow and we thought, wow, she gave us a heifer, but she's never going to be able to be bred back. And the good news there is we just found out what her problem is, and we're going to get her bred back. So I'm very pleased with that. And there's some good guys out there, who are very good at the flushing and all that stuff. And I don't know. I may change my mind. I've got a couple of older, like I said, I've got 2 older cows that mean a lot to me. And certainly I'm not going to push them to breed until they die. They both are very healthy right now. But in a year or two, we'll see one more time. And if they are at the end of where I feel that they're able to carry a calf, then we might look into the flushing or IVFing. I don't know. It does make me feel good that there are people out there who are very good at it and that I would trust to do a good job and trust to take care of, my animals. And they're at a point where they've lived good lives. I'm sure, they're living the good life here. I don't know where before, but they're living the good life here. And I don't want to see any of them hurt or damaged, just trying to make money off of them. Both those animals will die here. I've had offers on one of them. Both those animals will die here and their mounts will go up on our wall.
So do you think that as technology kind of continues to improve and influence the livestock market more, that more of those processes should be mentioned on paper, such as the cloning is?
Yes, I really do. I think people, especially for new breeders who don't even understand that that's going on, I think, that's why I did not hesitate to do business, to spend big money for us on that cow, is because John Helm was he put it in his ad in the magazine that she's never, I didn't even have to ask. He put it right there. And I think that just would be it's a sign of trust. I think I know a lot of it's going on, and I know, like I said, there are good people out there doing it. But I think if you're selling an animal, all the breeders we've met and made friends with, these are good people. they're not ever going to try to pull a fast one on you or ditch a undesirable animal onto you, no matter what your status is. But I think there are people in the industry that just think, wow, I don't like this cow anymore. We're gonna, and but I think there's such a small number of those people. Really, I'm not even sure it's an issue, but I mean, I would like to know. It makes me think now when I buy an older cow, and honestly, I have no problem buying an older cow. Somebody will say 15, 16, you don't want to buy that cow. It's like, that's a legendary animal. If I can get a couple of calves out of her with my bull matching her genetics. I mean, my 2 old cows, one of them will be 18 in April. She is a VJ Tommy daughter, beautiful, beautiful animal, incredible mother. And the other is a Boomerang CP daughter. And those genetics, so when you say this calf, it's her, let's say her, because we're hoping for heifers, her grandsire on top is MC Hangin' Tough, and her grandsire on the bottom is Boomerang CP or VJ Tommy. To me, that's going to be an amazing animal. And we've got a couple of those. So, and hopefully more now. Yeah, I wish more people would be more open about specifying that. If somebody's going to pay big money for a legendary cow like that, I think they should know right up front. But then again, like me, if you're spending money on a cow like that, I think it's up to you to ask. But maybe there should be a designation. I don't know. You look at Helmadella's grandmother, who is a legendary cow, and she's been flush, she's been whatever, she's got a huge progeny page, so that, if you were looking, you would know. If you were looking, and I always do, and I tell people that ask me, new breeders coming to me now, and I say, look, go on the web page, look at their progeny. And if they've got like 4 born in the same year, they've been flushed, they've been IVF'd. And then you can ask questions. You can ask who did it, and everything. And there's people that I would trust, on one of my animals to do a good job. So those people are out there.
And now let's hear from our advertisers.
From the Pasture by Hired Hand is presented by R3 Hilltop Ranch. Located in Chilton, Texas, R3 Hilltop Ranch has been breeding registered Texas Longhorns since 2006. What began as 3 heifers has grown into our current herd, which you can explore on our website at r3hilltop.com. We're passionate about loud colors, longhorns, and docile temperaments, but it's the easy-keeping, low-maintenance traits of Texas Longhorns that initially attracted us and continue to drive our herd growth. In addition to livestock, we proudly offer certified Longhorn beef products. Visit r3hilltop.com/beef to learn more. Thank you for listening and enjoy exploring our ranch online at r3hilltop.com.
Imagine updating your website and managing your animals at the same time without needing tech experience. With Hired Hand software, it's that easy. Our user-friendly platform is designed specifically for breeders, allowing you to keep your site fresh and your animal records up to date in just a few clicks.
Let us simplify your digital chores while you focus on what you do best. Visit hiredhandsoftware.com and see just how easy it can be.
Hey, if you love From the Pasture with Hired Hand, why not go check out my podcast, The Big Iron Podcast with Andrew Shigori, where we dive into the world of registered Texas Longhorns and what it means to be an agriculture entrepreneur in the modern world, with a little southern flair, of course. Find The Big Iron Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
Let's switch gears a little bit. Kind of tell me about where you see your breeding program in 5 years.
I see us with better fencing in 5 years, and the majority of our herd will have our brand on it. And we have some excellent animals right now that will be here until they die, that I'll never get rid of, that are doing such a great job for us. And of course, they're not branded by us. But, I've got some Bob Loomis branded animals. I've got some John Helm Cattle Company branded animal. I've got Hudson Longhorn branded animals that are just amazing. I'll never get rid of. So those will always be there. But I mean, the animals that I take to auctions, the animals that I take to futurities, I want them wearing our brand. And I want them, because we just don't have a lot of space, I want the best of the best for that. So I'm saying that we love all of the calves that we have. Some are obviously better than others. Even great bulls have progeny that's not spectacular. But we are hoping that our little bull calves will be herd sires for somebody and do a good job for them. And I know that they're officially beef cattle, but it's our wish that we never hear of one of our animals being beefed or, roped in a rodeo. I know there's a market for all that stuff. That's not our lane. It's not what we want. So we just keep on. I just hope to keep improving on the animals that we breed, and hopefully our calves will make a difference to other, both established breeders who will want a piece of that, or especially new breeders who are coming up to have a chance to, get a good animal or two into their herd. That's where I see us.
Do you already have your next 2, 3, 4 years worth of pairings kind of penciled out or living in your head, making plans for that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I sure do. I mean, this bull that we got right now is not even 3 yet. So he's still young, and we're still, he's still got work to do here. But man, we've got some real nice boys ready to take his place when he's time to move on for him. And I've already looked at some of his daughters, which one of these young prospects are going to be on this bull's daughters. And, and again, if you're a new breeder, it's not like you instantly come into this and instantly start doing this stuff. I mean, we're looking 2, 3 years down the road. We have a heifer calf out of our bull now. It's going to be 2 years. I mean, we try not to breed until over 20 months. Usually 22, and I've got one right now I'm not even comfortable at 2 years, that I would like to wait, give her to spring maybe. We want to make sure they're ready to go. And so that's a time-consuming deal. That's a couple of years. You're looking down the road at a couple of years. And so if somebody's in it for a quick turnaround, go to Vegas. This is not that quick turnaround.
Well, let's talk about websites and marketing for a little bit. How much time do you think you spend looking at Longhorn websites in a week?
I don't know. Way more than I should. I'm out in the field a lot. I'm very fortunate. I am retired. I can spend a lot of time. My animals are, all of them have been around people, have been around me every day, many times every day. The rest of the time, I'm probably on the computer looking at what I can do to make my website better. I'm looking at other people's websites to see what they're doing, see if I can get ideas. And there are some very, very well done websites out there. And so I spend a lot of time online, and probably more time than I should on Facebook, Longhorn pages, seeing what people are talking about, and not always commenting. And I see people, and I mentioned Bob Loomis a lot, but I mean, he's legendary. And before Longhorns, he was a legendary horse breeder. And, one of my early researches on Bob was a paper, like a thesis paper he did on the horses he was breeding. And it's like, wow, if he has that much in-depth knowledge on horses, I'm pretty sure that he is at least at that level on Longhorn. So when he says an animal is a good animal, I'm listening to what he says. And the Hudsons, the Glendennings, there are just so many people out there that have the knowledge, and the websites make it very easy to visit these people, look at what they're doing, look at, they say actions are stronger than words. And you look at the actions that these breeders are taking, and you can learn a lot, even without visiting with them. But I do recommend, if you ever get a chance, to go visit the Loomis Ranch or the Glendenning Ranch or the Hudsons, which is on my bucket list, to go to the Hudsons. And I have a brother that lives in Alabama, and my wife has a best friend who lives in Alabama now, and we would sure like to take that Alabama tour of the great Longhorn breeders, Jimmy Jones and Nancy Dunn, and all the people down there. Would sure like to see what they're doing. And the thing I've learned about all these big time breeders, where some people may be afraid to approach them. Everybody I've talked to, when I say, I'm thinking about coming down to Alabama, and they're like, yeah, come on, we'll show you around. I'm showing people around our property now, and time gets away from you, and you're like out there in 2 hours, and I'm apologizing. I could spend all day showing them our animals and telling them their stories and their breeding and their history and all that stuff. But I know the big breeders are the majority that way. I've been on the Bob Loomis Ranch. I've been on the Glendenning Ranch, got to hang out there with drag iron and the animals and on both those places, and the people are amazing. And I would urge new breeders to shake hands and introduce yourself and go see what's out there.
Well, you mentioned a lot of iconic ranches and websites. Can you tell me one maybe newer or smaller breeder that you've come across their website while you're doing research that either surprised you or that you think folks should go visit themselves?
Well, we're fairly new, and I think people should visit our page. And I'll tell you why. We've got some good animals. I had good direction setting it up. And I'll mention Ayton and Sandy again with the picture taking. And if you really want to see, you look at the Glendenning page, which is one of my favorite pages and most frequently visited page ever, because the pictures are so amazing. And he told me, I was before Longhorns, I considered myself to be a wildlife photographer, and birds and all the great wildlife we have here. But I had a lesson to learn when it comes to Longhorns and how to present them so that people can see them in their best shape, the best light, the best everything. And, that's one of the things I see other people doing photography. It's more than just having a fancy camera, a nice lens. There are a lot of things that go into it. And Ayton and Sandy are, there's nobody even close. They are the best photographers in the Longhorn industry. And you can go to the Glendenning site. They do the photography and have done the photography of Glendennings, and just scroll through the pictures of the amazing animals that they have up there at that ranch and how they're presented in picture form. One of my favorite pictures, and we have so much, I think you'll ask this question later. Sorry, I'm jumping the gun on favorite animals, but one of my favorite cows is BHR Boomerang Beauty. It was legendary, and also Iron Mike ST. And our herd has so much of both those in it. These animals are of interest to me, but for that reason, but also because they're just beautiful animals. And the pictures you go through, for example, Iron Mike, look at the pictures of when other people took the pictures and as he aged, and then look at how he ended up and presented so beautifully. Drag Iron the same way, has some awful pictures in his past on his page, but the pictures where Ayton started taking pictures of him, he is presented like the icon that he is. So many great animals, you look at their pictures. That's one of my pet peeves. It's also on your question list of websites of people who snap pictures and, of animals that are legendary and just doesn't show them in a very good light. That's one of the reasons I look, and I'll mention Bob again. When we were looking at the bull that we got, Bob snapped the picture with his phone, and you can see Bob's shadow in the picture. Bob taking and it turned out, the bull was so amazing anyhow. And maybe that picture that was not that flattering stopped somebody else from getting him and enabled me to end up with him. So I'm thankful for that. But there are a lot of websites that if I could give a suggestion to people who are new breeders who are doing the website, do study the pictures on the Glendenning page and understand why that's such a good picture, and then try to do it that way. It's not easy. I know some secrets from Sandy and Aiton, but you go out there and like the Glendenning have 700 or 800 animals. If they're taking a nap and you're like, oh, I got to wait till they're up, you'll never get that job done. And they've got secrets on how to get them up and get them going.
Well, I feel like it helps you all as well being in the hill country when you have those beautiful wildflowers that come into bloom too. I know some of the bulls you mentioned that Aiton's gotten great pictures of. I can picture it because it's the wildflowers are in there just popping against the bull's color as well. So. Yeah,
it's kind of sad right now, and I should be updating a lot of my pictures, but we are heavy into our third year of extreme drought, and man, we're down to the dirt. I take a picture and I think, wow, this is going to be an awesome picture. And I get back to the computer and download it, and it's like, it's like we've got no grass. I usually wait till spring to update my pictures, but occasionally I get lucky. I mean, we've got animals going to futurities, and I'll have to do ads, so we'll need to. And I know now you can like grab the picture of the animal and put in like different backgrounds and everything too. It's so technology, does have a lot of positive sides to it. Always bad people who think I'm going to take a picture of Ray and put him at a bar, in Llano drinking a beer, but and nothing wrong with that either. But I sure love when we've got the green grass and the wildflowers. It's just amazing to have one pose for you, standing in the middle of a bunch of wildflowers.
Well, I have a few rapid fire questions for you here.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. Would you rather enjoy morning coffee or evening sunset on the ranch?
Man, I love them both, but I am a coffee man all day. But I certainly get up early and do the coffee.
Do you have a favorite ranch or workday song or playlist that you listen to?
The cows, the herd, when I'm out there and I've got the turtle box going, they love the green grass of home. They love Stand By Your Man. So I play some classic country, when I'm out there with them. But, sometimes they listen to 70s on 7 and just whatever's good, I guess, for them.
What's one thing you'd add to your ranch if money were no object?
I would add space. And we've got an old gentleman that lives to our north that has 168 acres, and I'd sure love to have that. But there's builders. We have builders. We're building up all around us, and the builders would sure love to have that too. And we would sure love for them not to get it. I would also sure love to have good fencing, and I should have put that in pre-COVID, but I just didn't think we were going to get to where we are now. I was thinking 4 or 5, maybe 8 steers and, buying them young, selling them at 2. And, and people told us, oh, your fences are good enough for that. And I wish I'd have done fences pre-COVID when the prices hadn't skyrocketed. But more land, better fencing.
What's one thing you always carry in your pocket on the ranch?
Always carry a cell phone. Always. And it's kind of funny because there was a point, I remember the exact time when I told my wife, I will never carry a cell phone. And now, of course, you can't go anywhere. You're lost without them. And they are so helpful. Fencing tool, it's always with me. And you could be out at the very farthest point of your ranch and see a fence issue, so I always carry that with me.
I feel like we covered a lot of ground today. We definitely learned a lot about your program and your outlooks on the industry. Is there anything that I haven't asked you about that you'd like to share with our listeners as we close out here?
Well, I appreciate the time. And, one of the things I would tell a new breeder is do not hesitate to get a hired hand website. I started at the very lowest level because that's where I thought I was going to be, and then had to increase that to the larger level. I love going to people's, when I'm researching animals, I love being able to click on the, the sire, the dam, follow there all the way back to the beginning. And if somebody's on a hired hand website, you can do that. And it makes it so easy, not just for you, but for people who are looking at your herd, looking to buy an animal from you, or just researching your animals. The hired hand websites are amazing. And I always, if people ask, and they do, like once a week, somebody says, hey, what feeder do we use? Or, hey, what website are you using? I try to stay and not comment so much, but on those two issues, I will always say, get your PNC chute and get your hired hand website. So,
thank you. We really appreciate that.
You guys did our logo. We had the basic deal, and it just didn't look right. And you guys made it pop, and we appreciate that.
Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to join us and share all of this with our listeners.
Thanks for having me. We appreciate it.
And thank you to our listeners for joining us for another episode of From the Pasture with Hired Hand. We hope you enjoyed this visit to the Webb Family Farm and learned something new about the world of Texas Longhorns. If you liked today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. You can always explore more stories from the pasture by visiting our website or following us on social media. Until next time, remember to appreciate the pastures you roam and the traditions that make them special. Overwhelmed with your digital chores? Let us lend a hand. From websites and animal management to internet auctions, graphic design, marketing, search engine optimization, and more, Hired Hand Software is your hired hand for all things digital.
Specializing in pedigree, livestock breeds, and beyond, we handle the tech so you can focus on the animals you love. Visit hiredhandsoftware.com today, where your digital chores just got a whole lot easier.